I didn't make that link. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Happy Wednesday.
Again, yes, happy Wednesday. We are in the building, the Brothers of Legacy, with our reoccurring special guest, Elder Ephraim Terrell in the building.
Appreciate it.
Oh, hold on.
The elder.
Deborah in the building. Great morning to you. Let's see. We got a good topic along the same lines. We got boom.
Nope, Lisa first today.
Lisa first. No, Deborah first. No, Deborah was first.
Deborah always come in here. Though.
There she go.
Deborah was first on Periscope. Lisa was first on Facebook. That's normally how it goes, right?
Good morning, Lisa. Good morning. Periscope's a little quicker. All right. So we dropped the intro, and then we'll be right back with our topic and our discussion. Hanging in.
But don't be the meal. You know when you said that, don't be the meal.
Experience is the best teacher, but truth is the Holy Spirit is the best teacher.
If you can find the straightest path to the queen that you're supposed to be with, I believe in, and she finds her straightest path to you, and I think it gets away from all those, the skeletons in the closet.
We aim for the wrong things.
Right.
We aim to make our children a good husband. We aim to make our children good wives or successful businessmen or whatever. Right. The aim is wrong.
Trending is not happening without curiosity. So what's driving curiosity? You understand? People that are successful, people that are effective in life are people with priorities.
Priorities. Yes, indeed.
Dwayne, he killed that ending.
Hey, that was I'm always getting gassed up by y'all, so it's simple.
All right.
D Goods, what's good, man?
What's going on, Ephraim?
Can't call him, man.
All right, let's see. Bam.
Ooh,
all right, so
nice guy. Mr. Nice guy, Mr.
No smoke.
Before we get started, AD, if you don't mind, I look at the 6 people on this screen right now. Right, I remember back in the day when it was just 2 of us, and 2 became 3, 3 became 4, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna say this in front of everybody else that's here, the panel. I am ultra honored to be in this panel. A year and a half later, so thank you guys for being the brothers.
Are you saying you're glad you haven't been traded? Is that what you're saying?
Huh? What happened?
He said, "Are you glad you haven't been traded?"
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
Hey, Terry, tell him you still in the starting 5. You still in the
I could have been pink slip. I'm here. I'm riding the bench, but I'm here. I may be ugly, but I'm here. Okay. Hey, you guys. Hey, these are Brother McCory's in the building. Hit him up.
Can I get a birthday shout out to my little one, adorable? It's her second birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hey, I would sing, but you don't want none of that.
She turned around and had me scared yesterday. I had she had a laceration under her eye. She went running.
Laceration. See, you've been groomed stitches. Wrong. Laceration. No, it's a cut, bro.
The deep cut. All right. So today we talk about yesterday we talked about the aging of leadership. So today we're talking about correcting leadership, and is there a proper way to correct your leaders, whether it be church or whether it be at work?
So Cole.
When they're wrong. What up, Cole? Great morning to you. I haven't seen Kevin Peoples in a minute. I just wanted to put that out there. I haven't seen my brother in a minute.
Kevin, where are you?
Oh yeah, Peoples. Come on and play.
He's been at home barbecuing. That's what he's been doing.
Oh, there he is. Let me send it to him.
Oh, so yeah, so how do you guys feel about correcting leadership? Like what would you say is the best way to correct it? We know unfortunately some folks won't hear you regardless of what you say, because they got their mind made up of how things are always gonna go. But in your life and in the experiences you've had, how would you say is the best way to approach leadership when dealing with correction? Let's speak like either in the job kind of situation.
Yeah, I think the job is easier, because you have like structure, you got best practices, you got principles, you got a standard operating procedure. You can kind of, it's easier to judge. It's laid out in black and white, so I can see when anybody, because then when you work in any kind of setting, it's always about performance management, right? Absolutely. Making sure everybody on their job. So it's probably a hard thing to do to step up, but it's much easier in the job secular, because it's clear cut. There was a few times where I thought my daddy was wrong, but I wasn't gonna say nothing because it was his house. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little easier at the job.
Wisdom.
But my daddy house, but he was the leader of that house, but it was hard to say something.
I got you. Anybody else?
My longest job was the military. The military made everything somewhat simple. It was addressing every problem. The first one was man-to-man, peer-to-peer. You pull them to the side, away from the children, what we used to call. You don't argue. Mommy and daddy don't argue in front of the children. That's what we used to say in the military. So if Master Sergeant McCrory did something that wasn't the most efficient or that was just backwards, hey, Master Sergeant, can I talk to you when you get the first moment you get? And we discuss what's going on or what's not going on. Mm-hmm. But we don't talk in front of the children. We didn't talk in front of the soldiers where that influence would be challenged.
Okay.
Now, after that conversation is had,
right,
and the behavior still continues, it was fair game to be taught that in front of the kids at that point. So it's like there was levels. It was like a progression. Sometimes people don't understand, so you let them know, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's not happening. We need to fix this. And then if it didn't get fixed, then you don't have the time to go back and coddle somebody. Hey, you're supposed to do this. This jacked up. Straighten it out.
Yeah. So is that in military? Is that like a protocol thing or just
it's like the unspoken
rule, right?
Yeah, it's the unspoken rule. You don't disrespect it because it's kind of it's deemed somewhat disrespectful prior to that. Because when you got 15, 20 soldiers that you're in charge of, and all of a sudden your boss just made you look like a private in front of the privates, it hurts the level that they receive from you. So maybe not, but that's the thought process.
It got to be protocols. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you go, because you might end up being in the wrong, trying to correct somebody else being wrong.
Absolutely.
What do your pastors say the wrong scripture during Bible study? You gonna stand up and just, you know what I'm saying? Like that ain't right, man. It's a protocol to it.
Right.
But let me ask this question: when is it ever a good time to be corrected?
Every time you need correction.
But then we talking out of both sides of our mouth then, because if there is never a good time to be corrected, they say, well, and anytime, man, something's wrong, that should be the time to correct it. I think sometimes we have to really be honest that some people really don't have a mindset to hear you at any time, like AD was talking about, because some people just don't like criticism, period. From the secular arena to the church arena. So we have to really be honest about the nature of the person who needs to be corrected. One of my mentors told me that you will never have to be corrected if you didn't do nothing wrong. You feel what I'm saying? And so sometimes, we find ourselves being prone to error because we don't listen to the people that's around us. And so that's why I act, and I know it sounded like a rhetorical question, But sometimes I don't think people understand that for some people's mindset, it's never a good time to be corrected.
Right.
But, and sometimes it's not necessarily like a grave error. Even when Chris said that, I was thinking about what's Moses' daddy-in-law?
Jethro.
Yeah,
one of my favorite stories.
So he corrected Moses. Moses wasn't necessarily wrong. It just wasn't the best way to go about it either. You know what I'm saying? So this is not always confronting your leader dealing with like scandal. Sometimes they might just be doing something a not effective way, I guess I'm trying to say.
Right.
And it depends on the arena too, because you got to think. Okay, so the military, right? The military, it's known that this is from the moment you in basic training. It's known that when you mess up, this is a possibility, and this is the bottom layer. Now that's just one way. There's several ways of correction. Verbal was just one of them, but they got it administrative. They got punitive, so they can take money. That's a corrective action. They take your money. You start. Let me get this right. Yeah.
You got my attention now.
Let me get some math right.
Okay, so hold on. So you're saying in military, right? Because I want to make sure we're clear on the context. So if I'm at the bottom rung and my leader is wrong, how do I approach?
Everything is governed by regulations and field manuals in the military.
Okay.
So what I used to tell my soldiers it's better to know where to find the right information sometimes than it is knowing the right information. Because look, I didn't have to shave the last 5 years I was in the military. And for whatever reason, it was always a black NCO, a black sergeant that had something to say to me. Never had a white sergeant say, "Hey, soldier, you shaved?" Wow. I'm a staff sergeant, and I got a beard that looks almost like this, and it is lunch. Now, I've already had a couple formations. I did PTC, my first sergeant commander, and everybody else. And he gonna ask me in the lunchroom, "Hey, soldier, you shaved today?" And I used to get a little irate because it was a stupid question. Just ask me if I got a shaving profile. Here it is right here. And then sometimes that wasn't good enough for some people, which it didn't matter. I was like, Army Regulation 380-5 point whatever paragraph this says that this is all I need. Thank you and have a nice day. So it's just like here knowing the Bible. The Bible says A, B, and C. You gotta have basis for it. So no, in the military, there's just several ways of dealing with. Some soldiers react to the verbal, and they follow that. Some don't. So for that one that don't, give me your time and your money. So when you get off work and you got extra time, I'm gonna take your extra time and have you doing more work, and then you can't go anywhere but the dining facility and church. So there's several different ways for different problems.
And Dwayne, when it came to you though about that shaving, like what spirit did you discern? Like how did they approach you?
It was jealousy. He was mad that he had
some
to
people
shave
want to
and
be
I
a
didn't.
jerk.
No, but this guy was mad that he had to shave and I didn't. Because
that's right. That was 99% of the time. If somebody came up to you asking about shaving profiles, they were mad because they had to shave.
Wow.
Gotcha.
That's it. Wow. There's no other reason for one person to ask another person about a shaving profile because whoever you're reporting to knows you have a shaving profile. And you have to see those people daily. So if anyone outside of your chain of command comes up asking you about a shaving profile, or whether or not you shave, it's haterism.
Yeah. Haterade. Okay.
That make all the difference too, like the spirit in which somebody approaches you. You know what I'm saying? Because some people come with like the right message, but they came like the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Because when you correcting somebody, if let's say I get corrected about something, I better not catch a feeling that you happy that I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like don't you lost me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gone. So if you coming to me and you really trying to see this thing get turned around, or whatever your reasons, but they better be legit because.
But miss me with that.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man. Because people like I think even especially like more popular leaders or whatever in and out the church, it don't matter. how many people I just read the other day that the CEO of Disney gets paid $65 million a year. Right. You mean to tell me nobody on this team hope he slip up? You know what I'm saying? Like, so no matter in and out the church, people waiting for you to mess up, and you will mess up. Right. But I think you got to come in the right spirit. I respect protocol. You know what I'm saying? It's an order to this thing.
Yeah, that's the tricky part is coming to with tact, and because you're supposed to do everything in love anyways, but some leaders you have to kind of come left with because they don't understand anything else. You know, I've had a couple of leaders like that, and in church and at work, that they don't understand. They don't understand nice. They don't understand love. Well, I'm just trying to, they don't understand that. They wanted me to be raw and catch the smoke, as Ephraim would say. Well, and so, be it that way, I had to give it to him. But even when I was giving the smoke, I gave the smoke in love.
Right.
Yeah.
I think now that we talked about from a secular position, I think from a church standpoint, that's a real messy little situation.
It can get messy, absolutely,
because there's a lot of great preachers who are not leaders.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of great people who got the skill and they got the charisma, they got the school education, but they don't have people skills. And I don't know why folk think because you're in leadership that now you're more superior than the people you serve.
Talk to me.
You feel what I'm saying? And I've had a lot of people in my time of being in ministry, over 20 years of ministry, that I was sitting under Sauls. I was sitting under folk who was intimidated what I carried, but they called me son. They called me, somebody who they could try to put their foot on. So my question to us today is, what do you do when you find out that those who are supposed to cover you wants to uncover you as a leader?
That's good.
Oh, that's the one though. It's tough philosophically, but scripturally it's easy. And it's David. David's our answer, and it's the fact that you use Saul. It shows us that existence already. Remember, Saul tried to kill David several times, and David was already anointed king during this time. Knowing who his leader was, he still respected the position.
Yeah,
he still and in that honor, the position basically imploded on itself, and it was opened up into him. And it's not an easy thing, I think, and not putting words in your mouth, but I think the better question is, how do we respond knowing that the outcome is, we already know what the outcome generally is, but how do we respond when we're in those situations? Because we know that, yes, you still respect the position. You respect the position until it hurts other people.
Do you feel like sometimes we have the perception that our leaders may not be approachable, or understand? Because so I'm gonna just get personal. I go to Solomon's Temple. Pastor's really open about having discussions about things. He's like, if something ain't right, let's have a conversation about it. Yeah. And I remember a Bible study, like he kind of opened it up for people to express themselves. And you've got used to going to dictatorship ministries that you just like, did he really open it up like that? We actually have permission to speak freely.
Right.
It's kind of like almost a program mindset. You go into so many ministries that you feel like you can't really express yourself, which means you either hold it in and then you leave.
But those ministries right there, and we all been a part of them, they get stifled. You know what I'm saying?
They do.
Imagine working at the White House right now.
Right.
What can you tell that man that won't offer your job? You know what I'm saying? He is unapproachable. So are his staffers giving 100% is the real question. You know what I'm saying? Could this be a better White House? Could this be a better America but I bet they like, nah, let me not say that. I see that's wrong, but nah, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I saw what happened to the last person. This man has fired so many people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying he don't the president to fire folk, but I mean like he making a record. So that make the whole White House like, I'm straight. I'm not gonna speak. And we've been a part of churches like that too. You know what I'm saying?
People been getting fired on their day off at this.
Oh yeah, you better believe it.
They said they caught him on. They said they caught him on tape stealing boxes.
He had the presidential seal on that box. That's what happened.
but I was thinking what Chris was saying, and it has me wondering like, when is the church leader wrong? You know what I'm saying? At what point does it warrant you saying something? Because it's like my dad. You in their house. You know, it's a part of their vision. You know what I'm saying? So outside of doctrine, at what point does your pastor do something or your leader do something that makes you say, you know, I got to talk to them about this music department. I got to talk to them about, you know, this usher board. You know, at what point are they?
Or we just got to talk to them about just the lack of treatment. Because, I mean, let's just keep it honest. For me, I've seen so many leaders dummy down people who are competent in their midst.
Yeah.
I've seen leaders literally shut voices down who God sent to help them get out of that stagnated place.
Right.
Now, the reason why I love Pastor McCrary is because he is the total opposite of the common thread of leadership that we see today.
Yeah.
Because he's open to hear what the people around him has to say. And I think sometimes leaders get to the point where they feel like, because I'm in leadership, I ain't got to listen no more. And then they wonder why people leave.
Yeah.
But everybody don't have immaturity issues. Everybody don't have sexuality issues. Everybody ain't lying and cussing and stealing and killing and all that different kind of stuff. And so I believe that when God sends people to your life, it ain't just one-sided. And this is where, in the church dynamic, things have to shift with leadership, because yes, it's the leader's job to lead people, but it's also the job of the leader to listen to the people who's actually following them. You know,
Bert, let me ask you this. From the leader's standpoint, like I'm just trying to see it from their point of view. Like, what is it that they fear? Like, does it look bad to be wrong? Is it a bad look? Like, what's the leader? Why does he or she shut down somebody coming to them? Like, what's the fear? I don't know if I made that clear.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, there could be several things. There could be several things that's taking place. Some people think that they know everything. And so they feel like I don't have to, be open to anything other than what I already know.
Right.
Some people have this mindset that they don't trust nobody, so they don't trust the voices that's around them.
Right.
And I think that that's a detriment to have people following you and you don't trust their voice.
God.
And I think is another thing to have somebody leading you and you don't trust their leadership. Pastor McCrary?
Right. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He threw that alley, didn't he? Leading the lead and assist. Okay.
Hey.
How do you correct a leader? How do you correct leadership?
Yeah.
Carefully, right?
Right.
The characteristics or the traits that everybody sees in me are because I've been on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
I have felt what Dr. Burton has felt. I have felt what AD has felt. Because before pastoring, I held pretty much every position in the church. And I've been in a church with 50 people. I have been in a church with 7,000 people. So I've seen multiple. Robert's Rule of Order. I've seen My Way or the Highway. You may want to do it the way that you do it, but over here, as long as you're here, we'll do it this way. It's all of those things. It's funny. Somebody put in here, I don't know if it was Romello, somebody put certain leaders, in the church, it's their first opportunity in a position of power.
Right? Absolutely.
Yeah. And they're losing their power. I'll tell you, there's another side to giving the open floor. When you're the type of leader that's open, you're inviting every position, every opinion,
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have to contend with people being comfortable expressing themselves.
Right.
And sometimes people get too comfortable expressing
Yeah.
themselves.
There you
And then
go.
you have a world of disarray because now
Yeah.
you're having to manage the hen house.
Yeah. Hey,
So-
Pastor McCoy, it feel like, and I don't want to call out no denomination, but those with an exuberant spirit seem like they struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? Something about being so spirit led make you feel you can do stuff without like order and protocol. Like I think Dwayne was saying, like even military wise, and church takes a lot of stuff from the military. It got to be a way to this thing because I don't believe in people, just tearing down the leader. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you sitting up there by yourself and they just. So why would watch Bible study at 7:30 or something? All that kind of stuff. So
yeah, people jump. Pastor, that don't make no sense. Really?
Yeah.
Right.
that's out of order, man.
You couldn't shoot me a text, bro. You had to say that out loud. You know, like,
Right.
For real.
And I think a big part of it is people really don't. I won't say everybody on the panel, but most of us can identify either way. When we say there's a problem, it's literally either I'm right problem and you wrong and you don't want to change, or it's God didn't call you, therefore you're mismanaging God's people anyway. Right. When it comes to leadership in the church, I think one thing that we all have to realize, pastors included, that we are members and we're placed in the body where God sees us fit. And I think that we have to understand that role and then embrace that role. Some of us will forever be toenails. Yeah. And there ain't no way around that. A toenail ain't got no business telling the cardiovascular system it ain't pumping blood with the right volume. Stay in your lane,
Yeah. Leave Dwayne with an anatomy analogy.
Once upon a time, I was a nursing major. But see, here's the thing. The body has things in place where there's things within the lymphatic system that help regulate on the way.
Lymphatic. There it is.
You got to pause. Pastor Brian said pause. You time out.
Lymphatic.
Yeah, he got me.
The lymph nodes, the immune system, the white blood cells and antibodies.
Okay. I was with you, bro.
So like when certain levels in the bodies rise to it, lymph nodes pop up when corona hop into the system. Okay, we got something that don't belong here that's throwing everything off. Let's get to work and we're gonna get rid of this and we're gonna pump stuff up. So now they talking to the heart, and you got to increase the blood flow. Talking to the lungs, you got to increase the oxygen flow. But the toenail ain't got nothing to do with that process. So the toenail is supposed to be quiet.
Hold on. Right, that process. But what about the toenail? There's some blood up in there.
Right.
Like, hey, there's a little blockage happening down here because we all know, even in ministry, all it takes a little bit for it to become greater. All it takes is one person not getting checked. All it takes is one person, feeding everybody just a little bit of bad information about, let's just say, leadership. Can begin to shift the ministry. So I get your analogy, like jumping into the major stuff, but then there's the minor stuff that we need to step up.
But I think that goes back to something that Terrell said earlier. I think what's important is that when it comes to correction, you first have to identify the disconnect.
Right.
Understand the disconnect and evaluate the impact of the misunderstanding.
Right.
I think it's critical. We say, certain things, like I heard you say in the workplace, it might be really easy. But in corporate America, it's not really that easy because we go through training. We go through sexual harassment training. Right. Now you have to understand what's really sexual harassment. One person's perspective is not another person's perspective. So there could be some gray areas there.
Right.
Ethical training, business ethics. When you're buying and selling products and all of that, and you're if you're a salesperson, are you giving this gift because you want them to buy something? Or are you giving this gift out of strict appreciation? Right. So there's a lot of things that can transpire. And so when it comes to the church, you have to think, you have to be kingdom minded. Is it doctrinally sound? Is it scripturally based? I'm one of those guys who had to contend with leadership during a big setting where there was a disconnect. I've been in those places where what you're saying is sound, but culturally it contradicts.
Come on, Pastor. Come on, sir. Right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so you have to contend with leaderships who are stuck in culture,
sir,
tradition, and it contradicts the word. And so the Bible says, let the word of God be true and let every man be a lie. But try telling your bishop that.
Right. And Pastor, even when you say that, I think that's where most of the problems in the church comes, is when feathers get ruffled that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you mess with somebody, if you say, Paul didn't write, all 13 of the letters or something like that, you're going to mess with somebody's Sunday school degree, and it's going to be a real problem. You know what I'm saying? But we have a problem allowing something that might be scholarly true to kind of mess us up scripturally. You know what I'm saying? Like it might be a real fact. You know what I'm saying? We don't know Paul. The Bible didn't say Paul died, but we know Paul, through history, he died. You know what I'm saying? So it's stuff we find out, but you strike a chord with people and it really can come off like you challenging them. You know what I'm saying? But
my question is,
20 years ago, I was doing training, jurisdictional training. And, when you are a minister or a young elder conducting any type of business on a jurisdictional level where people don't know you, you got all the veterans in the crowd.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was teaching a class and some old deacon from the back of the church shouted, "Preacher, show me in the Bible where it says we all going to heaven." and I couldn't answer the question.
Wow.
He said, "Show me in the Bible where we all go to heaven." and my response, based on my training, was, I cannot point you to that right now, but I'll note that down and get back to you.
Well, it sounds like an army answer if I ever heard one.
Right?
People attach ego to being a leader. Right. That's a dangerous mix.
But he asked the question like 5 times.
Wow.
Insisting that I answer it. Right. Wow. And because I kept trying to, there's a no tangent zone in every public setting, meeting setting.
Right.
And I was trying to move on, and you could hear the rumblings. Leave him alone, Deacon. Lead. Because I'm like, I'm a baby, honestly. And so I got nervous, and I kept trying to move forward. And somebody must have snuck out the back, went to the office, grabbed one of the pastors. A pastor came in and said, "Man, get your out of here. The devil is a lie. Quit disrupting the teaching." And then he said, "Teach on, young preacher, teach on." And I felt like when he said, "Teach on, young preacher,"
yes,
I felt like God himself had came down to earth.
I got the power.
But here's the problem. The person in the back had so much influence. There were like 60, 70 people in there, and no one corrected it.
They had to go get somebody else to get them right.
They had to go get somebody else from a higher level of authority. And there were people with authority over him in the room, and no one said a word because of his influence.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So there are a number of things that you have to contend with when it comes to correcting leadership. So it's important that you be prayed up and that you apply wisdom to everything that you do, because you never know what you're really up against. And so the question becomes, how bad is it? How deep is the cut? What is the real impact? Before you go trying to correct somebody, you have to really evaluate all of those things, and then ask yourself, does it have to happen here? Or can I take it for? another time.
And you might need to see something that, let's say you saw it in a jurisdictional setting or some kind of meeting y'all had. You might see a behavior and you might just go back to your own local body and say, I'm just going to correct that here, you know, because that's where I might have my influence at. Let me make sure that whatever that was don't happen here, you know. But I'm with you on that. That's like doctrine. I think is a huge, you know, those essentials of the faith. If somebody messing up with Jesus, talking about Mary wasn't no virgin, and any kind of essential piece like that. You know, what color we wear on first Sunday, maybe not so much, you know, but like the doctrine stuff, let's make sure we get that right. But there are behaviors that are just wrong. You know, there shouldn't be assigned seats in the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't cut people off. They were talking about, we tried to do a study at a leadership one time about what does your visitors, your guests, what do they experience? And we try to go through like the 7 layers that they see before they get to their seat. They go, you know, the parking, the greeters, the usher, you know what I'm saying? Like all this kind of stuff. And they got all that influence before the pastor even get to preaching the sermon. You know what I'm saying? So it's important to recognize the behaviors that we have, because it's not necessarily just, let's say you define leadership as just influence, right? I heard Pastor talking about that yesterday. Just leadership is influence. So there are people in your church that don't have a position or a title, but they have that influence. So they got to get corrected too. It's not always necessarily going to the pastor. Some of these church mothers, these deacons, they got to get their mind right. You know,
they got to get that smoke too.
They got to get it. They got to get it because they really messing us up. And some of the stuff y'all pointing out, you know, I think it talks to some of the growth that's been studied, because we have some real good preachers, some real men and women of integrity, but they might not be a good administrator. You know what I'm saying? They probably they just can't build up a church. You know, they don't know how to, you know, do certain things. So it's that struggle, and some of the stuff we talking about. I mean, it's kind of casual talk, but I mean, this stuff is really hurting ministries. It's studying growth.
It is. And my thing is, it's another problem too when you find out that what you saw in the jurisdictional meeting is happening in high places. When that is the culture of the mindset of the organization, how do you respond to that? Because you can't fix a system that's broken on purpose. You know what I'm saying? And some people don't realize that the global church is hurting because there is a lack of correction on the local level. You know what I'm saying? And so when you look at the reputation of the church as a whole, you know what I'm saying? It's some people that say, well, you know, because this man was caught up in a scandal, or because this pastor was on a down low, and because all these different ethical issues are taking place, it's hurting us as a whole. So what do we do in those cases? Because in the last 10 years, there's been more scandals and more exposure of leadership than there's ever been.
I think so. Purposeful Forever, we had an interview. Me and Sam had an interview with Elder Terrell and his wife, and they mentioned something about a safe space. You know, like space to express yourself. And I think, and I feel like if in ministry, if we begin to develop more safe spaces in ministry, because like to Pastor's point, of course, you know, when you allow your members to begin to speak, you're right. Some gonna start in the back like, yo, that ain't right. Like,
I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting.
I'm waiting for this moment. Yes, sir. Every Sunday you come in, you know, so there needs to be a culture of safe space. And because I think a lot of ministries die because no one speaks up. And then, as the pastor, the leader, like he's doing this thing, he may even feel like maybe something's wrong, but if no one's saying anything, he never gets an opportunity to correct it, and then a small cancer become a big disease in a virus in the ministry. And now he's wondering like, why does, where did half my people go?
But I think to that point, I'm going to cut you off.
No, you good.
I think the greatest travesty is when we replace Christ with us.
Almost.
You know,
that's right.
A lot of this comes from displacing who the Lord is and replacing it with our own agenda.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We can remember that it's all about the kingdom. If everyone remains kingdom focused, we lose that whole concept of big I's and little U's. You know, and then we gain the concept of a true organization is resilient. In other words, what I mean by resilient is everybody's a janitor. Right. It becomes everyone's responsibility to analyze what's broken and to be a part of the repair process. Right. Mm-hmm. And there's no longer finger pointing. And then also as leaders, because we're all leaders here on this platform, I think it's important to understand those who are connected to you enough to know which personalities to put over things and which personalities to put over people.
Right. Yes, sir.
You have many people that are great at handling projects, handling stuff.
That'd be a good workshop.
They're horrible at managing people.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll put the most intellectual person over people, but they're too hard-hearted.
Right.
Hey, Pat. So even when you was talking, like it made me ask, like how much loyalty do I owe my leader? Does ride or die exist in the church?
It does, but I want you to. But that's something else that you have to be careful with, right? Because now you're trying to understand what it is to have. Now it's your relationship with the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. Because now it's based on understanding your season and understanding your assignment.
Right.
I talked about this yesterday, right? I was faithful to a person whose integrity was challenging, right? And what I did was I learned to stay Christ focused, to separate the personality challenges from the post.
Right.
True.
And so that's how I encourage people. I reminded people that this is a hospital and doctors get sick too.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But if you sick, you need to go sit down for a minute.
Well, here's the thing. It all depends. It depends on whether you're sick because, you got a cut on your arm and you have a bandage on it, or whether you have something that is contagious.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Keep that corona to yourself.
My arm,
I'm telling you.
And I'm stitched up and I have a bandage on it, I can still perform surgery.
Right. You ain't bleeding on nobody. You ain't bleeding on nobody.
Right. And so those are the things that you have to begin to evaluate when it comes to correcting your leader. Right. So again, you have to have a relationship. That's why we have to lift up kingdom, lift up the Lord, and not lift up people. COVID-19 has proven to us that leaders need to check themselves.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's crazy because I've always been one of the smartest people in every room that I've been in.
All right.
Like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but just like. From this age, I've been inquisitive.
I'm about to pull myself up out of here.
I'm trying to tell you.
But at the same time, I've always been one of the most respectful people I know at the same time. Yeah. So for me, my way of addressing things that I perceived or I knew not to be godly and not to be right was I would play the dumb role, Hey, Pastor McCrory, you was teaching about such and such. Now, when you said this, I didn't quite understand this principle. Now, in my mind, I know what right looks like biblically and what it don't look like biblically.
Right.
But I'm playing the dummy role to ask a question to get your answer. So one, it gave me the gauge: was this intentional, or was this sheer ignorance?
Right.
And when you engage in a conversation that way, it gives you the ability to say, well, I thought 1 Timothy so-and-so said this, or I thought Jesus said that we should approach it like this. And that way you don't come off like Pastor said earlier. He was like, do it carefully. Yeah, you correct them, but do it carefully. This way, sometimes you play to the ego of a person because people egos are fragile.
But see, you can't do that in kingdom though.
Why not?
In the kingdom, because pride is destructive to a leader. Now that may work in the secular arena, but in the kingdom, that's destructive to a leader because the ego is in the way of why they're not getting the clarity about the error.
But there's offices in the kingdom as well.
Yeah, and I was talking from because these times, this was either during my bouncing around time, this was in my 1 foot in the church, and 3 feet in the club. So this was during that time when I knew right, but I was not myself in a position where I can come to somebody and like, hey, pastor, why you talking about women can't preach? I wasn't in a position to do that because I'm with somebody else girl at the club that same night, so I wasn't in a position. So I had to play the dumb role.
But I hear what Chris saying, but like there's offices and there's titles in the church, right? We got those. That's biblical. And I think when people in the office, you can kind of respect the office. So I think that's kind of a positive approach. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we got to maintain respect for leadership. I think sometime nowadays, and I know I'm young, but I'm saying my parents had me when they were old. I got raised. My best friends were like 50. So I'm just saying you got to have respect for these offices. We getting too familiar with these leaders nowadays. And it's cool that you can call and text your pastor. I'm with that. But there has to be some kind of boundary. You know what I'm saying? Right. I knew Pastor McCord before he got saved. That's Brian to me. Like, okay. He ain't be no more though. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he has to respect him. That's a pastor. He leading people. He deserves respect. All you brothers, when I see y'all, if I catch y'all in a setting where I'm serving, it's gonna be a whole nother relationship. I'm not gonna act like I don't know you, but I'm gonna respect you in your position. I'm gonna respect, you know what I'm saying? AD what have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a Florida boy. I talk with that Florida twang, but that's why at church you see me get quiet because I don't want this to come out. You know what I'm saying? So when I see y'all, I'm gonna respect y'all in that office, in that position, because I think any type of correction, any type of help, it got to start with respect. And if you feel like I'm disrespectful towards you, then you're not gonna hear me. Because even though what we talking about, that's the ultimate goal, is that you hear me and that we get this thing corrected.
Right. Absolutely. So, but see, I can respect you and respectfully disagree. Huh?
Wait, go ahead, 1 second. Speaking of correction, no, we're just listen tomorrow. Just a quick program note. The Brothers Who Talk will be featuring Monty Weaver, YouTube strategist, entrepreneur, OBS master, and speaker tomorrow. So you definitely don't want to miss that. We'll be releasing that on Friday. It's going to be a great conversation. This dude has went from 0 to like 10,000 followers in like 3 months. So that's some amazing things.
We need that.
I'll be all in.
Yes, got a lot of questions for him. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead. Make your point.
All I was going to say is that, yes, respect is a great deal. But my thing is, respect is different from worship. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these leaders now, they have made an idol out of themselves.
Yeah.
And this is where the gray area comes in for those who are mature in God. Right. And I'm not just talking about people, I'm just talking about people who are mature in God, period. Is the fact that we see these things, we see these people have taken their leadership role and now have made a whole identity that now they are no longer eligible for correction, even from elders that's among their own peers.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, now what do you do with that when you got somebody who you know is integrous, know somebody who are very credible, know somebody who has influence, and then you see somebody who's on the same level with you or in the same office as you, and then you don't listen to them.
Right.
That's crazy.
That's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
It's one thing for a lay member to try to correct a bishop or an apostle, but when you a bishop and an apostle and then you don't hear those who are around you, that's a whole nother issue.
Right.
Yeah. And I think one of y'all said it a couple of days ago about y'all talking about the president, you got to catch the president before he get corrupted. Even when you were saying that, I was thinking, man, like, pull every young elder to the side and try to correct his behavior before they get in charge of people, man. Like, before they got anybody that reports to them, catch them early. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't want to call somebody out by name, just be like, hey, look, now that what you saw, if you see this, that ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, all that kind of stuff. But those leaders that's already currently in position, I guess all we can do is pray for them, because if you can't reach them, what's that dude that went to hell and he like, go get my brothers, and they were like, if they wouldn't listen to the prophets, how they gonna, you know, listen to you? You know, some of these people, I hate to say somebody too far gone, but let's just say they really deep in what they in. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
so
I think that's the point, though, Elder. I think you have to realize that, you know, when I'm engaged with people that I'm unfamiliar with, you know, the minute you open your mouth, I begin to pray. Right? I begin to pray for discernment. Lord, help me to discern what it is I'm hearing. Lord, take me beyond the words that are coming out of their mouths. Lord, help me to find you in this. Lord, what role do I play in this conversation? Lord, what is your response to this narrative? Right? Those are the things that you have to, and again, it comes back to maturity, because a lot of times you don't realize, and the reason we have these mistakes and the corruption in the church is you don't realize that a person is immature in the Lord until they've already been active in their assignment.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pastor. Yes, sir.
One thing that I'll say to you, Elder Terrell, Ephraim, is we used to say, "Oh man, they don't make them like that anymore."
Yeah.
But you're a validation that they still do make them like that, because you're a young person in the planet, but you're not young in the Lord, but you are well trained. I know this because I've seen you in action. I'm not trying to toot your horn or anything like that. It's just that if the church had more young preachers like yourself active, it would be a better culture, right? But again, it goes back to the environment that you were raised in. You were raised in an environment that was conducive to your spiritual growth.
Right.
And a lot of people are raised in an environment where, you know, they're raised to be leaders, but they're raised to be broken leaders.
That's right, Pastor.
Some people can't wait to become an elder so that they can tell somebody what to do. Some people can't wait to become a deacon because they think they can sing better than somebody else when they do the morning devotion.
Wow.
Right? But certain deacons are raised because they just want to serve.
Right.
They love the act of servitude. Right. And most people get into ministry and don't even understand that the definition of ministry is service.
Right.
Absolutely.
They totally miss that.
Absolutely. And you can't suffocate who you're supposed to serve. You ain't supposed to kill those who you're supposed to raise up. You know, and I've heard and I've seen this, and I've seen some videos on YouTube, and this is my last day. And I've seen leaders just dog folk out over the pulpit, talk about them. And it's just like, how do you expect people to tie into your vision and you constantly abuse them? These are things that still happening even during the pandemic. You know, and so it's just like, I think, you know, it's going to be important that as leaders, we understand our job description, our real job description, and understand that there's a spiritual dynamic and there is a personal dynamic that must be altered in order for us to be effective at our call.
Also, and I know we're running short on time, but I want to throw this out. When it comes to leadership in that term, I think people have to understand that, generally speaking, God just doesn't put you in place because you have a purpose, because you have a calling. He just doesn't put you in a place. And a lot of us outside of God, we will put ourselves in positions and places because the gift is on our life, and that gift is still it. Look, when you gifted, sometimes it just oozes out of you. And favorite saying, AD, I'm saying all that to say this. Preparation. Every leader that is backed by God that I've seen in the scriptures has had a period of preparation.
Truth.
And with that preparation, what we see is the heart is not hardened and the heart is not haughty. Like we even see mistakes. For instance, David, right? We see the time when he was anointed king up until the time he's appointed king.
Right.
I remember the prophet Nathan coming to David. Now David's king.
That's good.
Not only is he king, but they love him.
He's anointed.
He's anointed, he's appointed, and they love him. And he was like, "Hey, David, hey, there's this dude that got 100 lambs, and there's this one guy over there only got one, and he don't. Do you remember how angry David became?
Yeah.
It was like, who is he?
Let's kill him.
It's you.
You're the man.
Instantly. So preparation. What preparation does is it keeps you in a place where there is safety in a multitude of counsel, because not properly being prepared, David would not have reacted to Nathan the way that he did.
Hey, Dwayne, question for you. I know we got to end, but like, so that's preparation for those coming up. What about watch this show today? I'm a leader in charge right now. I'm guilty as charged. I'm wrong. How do I turn it around though? Where do I start?
The first thing is with you and God. You have to ask God to show me, where am I missing it? Where am I being where am I being a sounding cymbal and not penetrating the heart? Where am I being offensive? Where's my love lacking? Where am I missing it? Once you do that, then you gotta go into self, and you gotta start to recondition. You gotta recondition yourself, and you gotta bring those things out of you that you've allowed to grab a hold of you.
Talk about that, D. You preaching.
Technically, the first thing is, Lord, forgive me.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Because I know that I have fallen short.
Right.
In areas. Now, Lord,
show me.
Think about this. You made me think about another story, and we just gonna run over today, AD.
That's good.
You think Chris Paul up there? Chris Paul right
there. When Hezekiah took ill, and God sent the prophet to tell him to get his house in order. We all know this. Well, most of us should know the story. Hezekiah turned and faced the wall and prayed, and he essentially asked the Lord to remember. Remember my work. And because of that prayer, the Lord added to his life.
Yes, sir.
15 years.
15 years. But everybody emphasizes, and I'm saying this to say this. Everybody emphasizes how God gave the extension because of the prayer and how God can turn it around.
Yeah, right.
But nobody talks about the ungodly, the Babylonian king who was so impressed by God changing the story on Hezekiah's life and giving him. The Babylonian king was so impressed he wanted to come and give accolades to Hezekiah, and Hezekiah invited him in. And instead of Hezekiah giving God glory, he brought the king in and let him look at all his riches.
Yeah.
Look at what I got. Look at what I got. Now this goes back to Terrell's emphasis on respecting the position. God told Hezekiah, now watch this. This was the extended 15 years. God told Hezekiah that because of this sin, after I turned it around, you jacked it up. Because of this, everything that you just pointed out to the Babylonians, I'm going to take from you and give to the Babylonians. Right? But he didn't do it then. God respected Hezekiah's position to say, I'm not going to do it while you're in command. I'm going to wait till you're done, till you're gone. So the people looked at Hezekiah and said, "Oh, look what the Lord has done." He lived a peaceful and joyous life for the rest of his days. Wow. But the penalty was still there.
Yeah, it was.
And a lot of us are captivated by grace and the favor on leaders who have committed sin and don't know that the impact is coming when they're gone.
Yeah. Come on, Pastor.
As leaders, be careful what you do while you're in office.
Right. Yes, sir.
Because God, out of respect for your office and out of respect for his name, he will keep you in that place. But you are not without the penalty coming, and it's going to hit those that are coming behind you, and they won't know what hit.
That's truth.
All right. On that note.
That's good. Nothing else need to be said.
That's the mic drop. Come on, Dwayne. Come through with it.
Hey, I'm coming as soon as it's taking a little bit of time, and I was sitting up there I was about to, man. And I had to turn it down. See, that's straight.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. All right, gentlemen. We appreciate you guys being here. Of course, all my people's being here and watching and hanging with us. Whew, they said November's coming. All right,
Winter's coming.
Don't start. All right, so let's go.
Coming.
So, like I said, we appreciate you guys rocking with us every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, make sure you share. Not tag somebody in this broadcast. You need to do so like right now. All right. So, as always, we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for rocking with us and listening. And prayerfully, we've said something that helped you in your life, in your leadership, or just you moving forward. And as we close, I always like to say, it's Terry started the mantra, Brothers of Legacy love you, but God loves you more. Peace out. Have a wonderful day.
Bam.